Hi, this is the Lourdes and Chris Show. This beautiful, look at her, just stunning. Oh my God. This is my wife, Lourdes. So smart, so intelligent, so everything. And I'm so excited to be next to her.
And he's so excited in
To be
general.
next to her.
And this is my amazing, brilliant husband who I dearly, dearly love, who is the most supportive person I've ever known on the planet.
I
Right?
have no name, though.
Oh, my Chris.
You're not allowed to know my name. So this week we're going to do things a little bit different.
Yes.
We're not going to interview anybody. We're going to have a conversation because a lot of people have reached out to us with a question. But before we get into the actual show tonight, I do want to thank our very, very good friend and in-house doctor, Dr. Newsom. He's been amazing. He's an
Yes.
amazing partner. His products are amazing. If you already haven't gone into drnewsom.com, you really need to do yourself that favor because it's legitimate as far as it's got blog posts, it's got recipes,
It's got recipes, it's got testimonies, it's got amazing products
it's
that
got
from, yeah,
classes.
yeah. I mean, you name what you're trying to deal with, that's where you want to go. I mean, you can contact them there, tell them what you're going through, and they can kind of guide you on what you can do to better your health. I mean, they really are amazing.
And the thing that we love about Dr. Newsom is he's super smart, first of all, but it's not he's not so smart that he's not able to break it down for you proper. If you
Yes.
have already seen the Dr. Newsom episode, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you need to go back and check it out because he really has a
Yes.
way of explaining things to you in a way you go, I totally get what he's
Yeah.
saying.
He really simplifies it in a way where it just resonates. You get it. You understand what he's explaining and why that makes sense. And then it just kind of then inspires you to do the right things.
Yeah, we absolutely love Dr. Newsom, and that's 100% the best doctor I think we know at this time.
Yeah.
Other doctors that were on the show are like, hey, but no, it's legit.
No. But all of them are great. But we love Dr. Newsom because he really, I mean, this is what he's doing on a constant basis. Many of the other doctors are busy doing other things and stuff, but this is his world. This is the thing that he's been doing actually pretty much his whole life.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and he practices what he preaches.
Yes.
So he's amazing. And also we wanted to extend a thank you to all the people who have donated to the Lourdes
Yes.
and Chris Show. To do so, you just go to the lourdesandchrisshow.com. There's actually 4 different ways to donate, but 2 different buttons to select, or you can go on to
where?
GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So
And GoFundMe, just look for the Lourdes and Chris Show.
But we appreciate you that have donated and to continue to donate, and especially for those of you that have made a monthly commitment to donate to the cause, because I'm telling you, you're really helping us out to what we do behind the scenes is we advocate and we advise and we try to help people.
I mean, like you're helping us to continue our mission that has been helping so many people. And we do plan on one of the episodes to actually share different clips of many people that have
look for your mailing list. If you haven't already joined us, you need to do so because we're gonna shoot out a call for people who have healed themselves naturally. We want to start a little segment called Naturally on the show. So this week, like I said, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to kind of get right into the show because there's this thing that we say to people always whenever it comes to Lourdes' journey with cancer. And so what we tell people is that we went to Mexico for Lourdes to receive treatments that are not legal here in the United States.
And not illegal because it's like bad stuff. It's just that they don't practice that type of medicine. It's a different type of, here you have to follow only what they're told to do, in their upbringing and their training in schools. But other countries, fortunately, get to do other things outside of just the typical conventional medicine. And, we could only go to the closest country that we know that also did that.
Yeah. So it's a really simplified version to say that we had to go to Mexico to receive some treatments that weren't allowed to occur here in the United States. And we kind of want to break that down. We want to unpack that trunk a little bit further because some people have actually reached out to us and said, well, I don't understand what couldn't they do? So to do that, we really need to talk about why these practices that Lourdes did in Mexico just simply can't be practiced here in the United States. And it all comes down to one major entity, and that's the FDA.
Yep.
So the FDA has its histories. It's been around since 1906 was the inception of it. Teddy Roosevelt signed it into law. It was first an act. And if you look at the history of the FDA, it actually made a lot of sense what was happening at that time. The Industrial Revolution was just taking off.
Yep. Well, and they were doing things where, even down to the food.
Yes.
Right. Where they would create stuff that would be harmful, but because no one was regulating it, they could hide it and then people would be affected. So they came to a consensus that maybe we need some type of entity that will guide the guidelines to make sure that things are done right.
Yeah, with what was happening at the time was packaging started to get more advanced. People were learning how to can certain things, and so products could be shipped further away throughout the country. This is all part of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
And the other thing that was happening is an offshoot of what they called patent medicine. And essentially what that was if you wanted to take a specific type of medicine, let's call it Fabuloso is a medicine. Yeah, let's just say Fabuloso is a medicine.
Fabulous.
If you wanted to take Fabuloso medicine, you actually had to go to the manufacturer of Fabuloso medicine because they held the patent.
Right.
But what was happening, because it was unregulated, a lot of the medications at the time that you can get from these so-called patent medicines were actually largely cocaine or morphine.
Yes. Largely cocaine and morphine. And that even included in foods like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola was actually called Coca-Cola because it had cocaine in it. So,
Yeah.
so what was happening at the time was there's a lot of shady dealings going on. Snake oil salesmen, which we'll kind of circle back to because there's an interesting anecdote about that.
Mm-hmm.
But basically there was no regulation on what people were doing, and obviously this is a concern because people were eating tainted meat and tainted, disgusting things inside, and they learned how to mask the smells with spices and other
spices. By the way, mask everything.
Right. So that's so there, something needed to change, and it was time for a change. I'm sorry, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm not sure what happened there. So the FDA, it kind of made sense at the time, and this was, I think, early 1900s.
Yeah, and actually, before it was called the FDA, it was actually called, if I recall correctly, the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906.
Yeah, signed into law by Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
And what was happening at the time was that there was a gentleman by the name of Harvey Wiley. Now, Harvey's an interesting figure, and I'll put his picture up right here. Harvey Wiley was an interesting figure. He was actually he worked for the USDA, and he was the head of the Bureau of the Chemistry for the USDA. And that's kind of an important point to stick to because there's a strategy that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show.
Yes.
And but
it happens a lot.
But for all intents and purposes, he was able to sell this idea that we needed to regulate what people were consuming because of all the shady dealings that was going on in both food and pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
And there was a reporter that had done an expose, and he was talking about the patent medicine.
Yes.
Samuel Hopkins did a 12-part expose. We'll have to find an image of Samuel Hopkins, I guess. But Samuel Hopkins, he did a 12. Actually, it was Samuel Hopkins Adams.
Yes.
He had three names. Samuel Hopkins Adams. Yeah. Samuel Hopkins Adams was he was a reporter, and he did this expose revealing what this patent medicine industry was all about. And by all accounts, it just made Teddy Roosevelt so upset that immediately he signed into law the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906.
Yes.
So you can see on the surface, it makes perfect sense why we should have an entity that's governing what people are allowed to put inside for safety purposes. Yeah. Sure. At this time, if you think about how the Wild West of the time, they could have just put arsenic inside the stuff and been like, it's good for you. And which is kind of like the whole snake oil thing.
Correct.
And since there was no regulation, it kind of makes sense. I mean, housewives were the ones that were really supporting this.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense because if you think about it, they're the ones that are taking care of the family, trying to nourish them right to health and stuff. So when things would occur, they're like, something's not right.
Right.
And this is where they were finding out that they were actually, in fact, in the cans, they were.
Actually, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, the cans had tainted meat and all this other stuff. It seems to me, if you want to get down that rabbit's hole, right? I mean, when we started canning things and processing food to where it would be like shelf stable, health kind of declined
quickly.
I mean, if you think about it, at the time before canning and food preservation, Americans were forced to eat fresh foods.
Yes.
You were forced to go to a baker that was down the street in town and get fresh bread. You were forced to go to the local butcher who
did everything freshly there.
We wouldn't do that now, but
but just in general, that's what they did. Everything was always fresh. There was, I mean, just things have shifted, and if you look at how they shifted, so has health.
So we do have to take a quick break, but that was just sort of a sidebar. Sorry, I got off track. My ADD kicked in. We do have to take a quick break, but there's a theme that I want everybody to kind of pay attention to as we go on with our conversation.
Yes.
I want people to pay attention to the fact that people should follow the money. there's a
And there's
great,
a reason. Well, there's a reason why they always say follow the money.
yeah, and there's a great saying, and then we'll go to a break, and we'll show you Dr. Newsom's amazing product that's coming up. But there's a reason, but there's a saying that goes something like, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think there's like even Bible verses that describe,
Yes. Well, actually, I would have to find that Bible verse, and I just recently read that I think like a week or so ago.
yeah.
And it actually kind of, I have to look at it again, but we'll find it and put
Yeah,
it up
yeah,
there.
we'll put it up here.
Yeah.
But basically it talks about, money can corrupt. And so that's kind of a theme before we go forward into this.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back. And then we'll talk more about it in a roundabout way, why we had to go to Mexico.
Yes. After this break.
Super Earth Energy.
Super Earth Energy.
For nearly 2 decades, Dr. Newsom was developing this formula.
This one.
2 decades of his life, nearly 2 decades.
I mean, that's really dedication to giving you the best quality of a supplement that's going to give you not only energy, I mean, it improves adrenal and,
Well, so it improves your adrenal and muscle fatigue.
Yep.
It actually helps with chronic fatigue syndrome, a compromised immune system, sleep deficit, brain fog.
Which meaning are experiencing a low sexual desire. I mean, this 2 decades, there's a reason. He put a great formula together. He formulated, and it's just amazing. Like, we love it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's like we were just telling our daughter the other day. It's not like it gives you like a caffeine jittery feeling. It's more like you're just awake.
Yeah, like when you were a kid and you didn't feel. Kids they seem to not get tired. So it's kind of that. You don't go, oh, I feel like all this caffeine. It's none of that, because I personally can't do caffeine. It really causes me nausea, migraines. I just can't do caffeine. But I take this and I just don't feel tired. Like, I can spend a whole day really getting a lot of things done and not feel exhausted, or I have to take a nap, or I still do my meditation stuff, but oh my gosh, amazing.
It's because it's giving you energy at a cellular level. Now, all you have to do to get this product is go to www.drnewsom.com and look for Super Earth Energy. We've got it ourselves, but we should do a little, like, still show them what that bottle looks like. And there it is, Super Earth Energy. That's right. Go to drnewsom.com.
Yes. drnewsom.com. In fact, right here, we see the link.
Oh, see, now I got to put it there. I was going to put it there now, but now it's got to be there.
Or he can still put it here, but definitely here.
It's going to be 2 places now.
Super Earth Energy.
Okay, we're back. We're back. So yeah, where we left off is we were kind of talking about the inception of the FDA and where it all got its start, and how on paper you could really logically see why something needed to be in place.
Yes.
I mean, it made sense. But that was back then.
And it was through taxpayers' dollars.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's an important point to mention. It was funded by taxpayers. So
very different.
Yeah, it was
when
like
when the people that make a stand and can speak up, we're paying for it.
Right. If you think about it, it was very much like the public works or any of the federal functions that are still going on right now are paid by taxpayer dollars. And in the beginning, it was also paid by taxpayer dollars. It was the Food and Drug Administration there to help us out. So fast forward,
and now it's actually funded by.
Remember, 1906, it started as an act, and now we're in 2022. And who's it funded by?
Big Pharma.
Yeah. So
there's a conflict there.
Yeah. So let's think this through. Big pharmaceutical companies actually are the ones who are, for the most part, footing the bill. I think there might be still some taxpayer dollar, but not.
But for the most part, it's really them. In other words, they pay them so that they can use them.
Yeah.
So that they can. Here, we want to use check out this drug or release this drug, whatever. And
think of the FDA as a public entity that requires the people who want to utilize it to pay them money to utilize their service.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is big pharmaceutical companies, and take your pick, any of them. So we don't need to say names because different platforms get crazy about that. But they basically have to, whenever they want to submit for a new drug to be created or made, they have to submit moolah.
They have to give them money
to the Food and Drug Administration to approve or disapprove or whatever.
Yeah.
So out of the gates, we can see kind of a conflict, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to pay somebody,
and isn't there a second pay as well?
Well, okay, so you're getting ahead of the game.
I can't help it, but there's so much.
Of the game here. So yeah, there's a lot to actually unpack about what's happening right now. So some of the major criticisms of the FDA as it is now, and a lot of this a lot of people can agree upon, is that to date, the Food and Drug Administration still allows for opioid medicines to be readily available.
Yeah.
And
which is actually almost in a lot of meds, and 91 people die per day on that.
Yeah, that was an older statistic that we actually dug
in 2018.
up. Yeah. So if you think about that,
what today?
Yeah, it's probably more now. But the opioid epidemic is very serious.
Yeah.
And to date, the Food and Drug Administration still have not said, you know what, we need to get these opioids off the market. Let's get it out of there.
Yeah.
It's still.
I mean, especially since it's all about approving something and making sure things are safe. If people are dying from it on a daily basis, then how safe is it? Chances are not safe at all. And still not off the market.
Yeah, and still not off the market. So to put it in perspective, we have an entity that exists, and they're supposed to be there for the safety of the public. And so let's go back to the inception of this. The idea was, let's make sure that people aren't being poisoned by these products. And remember, we said that the money follow the money. So what's happened now is, in order for a drug to get to market, the drug companies pay the Food and Drug Administration massive amounts of money to approve or disprove this medicine. Now, since this practice has gotten more in hand, there are some statistics. So forgive me, I gotta make sure, because I wrote it down. I want to make sure I got it right.
Yeah.
So new drug applications in 2005, only 38% of the new drug applications were approved first time around.
38%.
38%. So that's an important number. Food and Drug Administration said, nah. Only 38% of what we saw was really ready to go to market. Fast forward to 2018. Again, the statistics that we find seem to be in 2018. Fast forward to 2018, since this practice has gotten more common, where they have to submit money for an application fee and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The approval rating for a drug first time around has jumped to 61%.
So it doubled up.
It did double up.
Yeah.
On record, members of the Food and Drug Administration have admitted on record to taking bribes from large pharmaceutical companies to allow a drug to go forward.
Yeah.
As well as the food part of it. And we're going to get into the food part of it in just a second. Yeah. Maybe the next segment, we're actually going to talk about the food part of it. But we still have a lot to unpack here. So sorry, we wrote down these statistics
because we want to make sure that what we give you is stuff that we've researched and read and looked up and confirmed that this is what's going on.
Right. Okay. So and as always, the Lourdes and Chris Show encourages you to please take what we say as just a starting point and go look into it yourself. You're going to be shocked at what you find.
Yeah, and there's great browsers out there actually, that if you don't want it to be censored to death as it is today, and you really want to find those documents, that information that we're talking about, you can go to, I think it's called Tusk.
Yeah, Tusk.
Tusk is probably my favorite so far. So we got Tusk and Brave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are so far the only two I trust.
Yeah, it's
because they show everything.
I almost challenge you to go ahead and go onto Google and do a search for something that you know might be controversial. I won't give you.
Yeah, and then watch how everything's like, oh, great, positive, no, and then check out the other one. Then they give you documents.
Do the same thing to either Tusk or to Brave, and you're going to see it's a big swing.
Yeah.
So just
take a huge swing.
But so we wrote down some statistics because we want to make sure we get this right.
Yeah, so we took notes.
Yeah, so we actually did take notes. What started happening was lobbyists were approaching the Food and Drug Administration. And first of all, we won't even get down to the whole rabbit hole of lobbyists.
Yeah, it just goes, it gets so deep that we could spend months on this stuff.
Yeah,
so we won't.
So out of the gates, there's a problem. If we say the word lobbyists are approaching this government entity, there already is
an issue.
Yeah. But the way that it's set up is there are doctors on these panels, and they're hired as consultants.
Yes. But they get paid as consultants.
They get paid as consultants by the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah. So they get paid to check the stuff out. And then they get paid if it's approved, and then they get paid if it goes out, and then they get paid, and they just keep getting paid in amounts.
She jumped ahead. So
I'm sorry, but it's just like,
dive
in.
So so like I said, on record, some FDA employees, former FDA employees, have admitted that they've taken bribes.
Yeah.
Off the record or in a gray area, they're paid to consult and say, "Hey, I think this drug is pretty fantastic."
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I absolutely do.
I'm like, for that $1 million, I'll say anything's fantastic.
And right, exactly. And then after the fact, after it was like, "Hey, you shake hands, it's approved. Yay, good for us."
Yeah.
They get another bit of money.
Yeah. A bit of money.
So some of it we found was like $10,000.
Over $10,000.
Over 10,000.
And another one's over 100,000.
Yeah, but there's a few
and then
that are seen million.
Yeah.
So
it's really easy for them to say, yeah.
I mean, can we just stop for a second, hit the pause button? I really want this to sink in. Our source of Big Brother, who watches The Watchmen, right? The source of the people that are supposed to be there protecting us are actually working for corporations.
They're working for the corporation that they're supposed to protect us from.
Right. And so it's like
how do you trust that?
How do you trust that? It's like we said a few episodes ago, you can't trust a lot of the news anymore because, and this is the challenge, go to who's sponsoring the news.
And just look at the ads.
Just look at the ads. Yeah.
That's who's
yeah. We haven't even talked about the ads right now, about the stuff that's okay. We're almost at break. So let's just finish this here. And we'll go through this.
There's so much.
So it's no surprise that things like emergency use has been kicked around a lot. We're not going
to, we won't touch upon.
I'm not going to say it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying I just want to point out that an emergency use
only means there is nothing out there. They've tried everything and there's nothing that they found that actually helps.
And what that does is it takes a drug before it goes to market. Instead of it being a month's turnaround, it's a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's concerning.
Yeah. And that's just for an emergency use, not to even know what the effects are going to be long-term, short-term, none of that.
The other statistic that kind of blew Lourdes and I away is that of these now rapidly cranking pharmaceutical drugs that are hitting the market, because everybody's on the up and up and they're only doing it for the protection of everybody. The ones that rapidly go through, remember we said 38% to 61% now, 1 in 3 have unknown adverse effects that show up in the years that follow the drug's release. So what that means is that they didn't even see it coming.
So they give it to you, they say it's safe, and go, oh, well, we didn't know. Yeah, I guess that happens too. Oh, that one too. Ooh, that one. Yeah. Ooh, sorry, we didn't know.
Yeah, and so we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about Dr. Newsom's products, which if you want
to go to,
I was just going to say,
when it comes to true health,
yeah,
you look for someone like Dr. Newsom.
Yeah,
because he understands the body. He does have a degree and he does care. And when he puts something in your body to get you better, it's because the only side effects you're going to get out of that is more health.
Yeah. So we will be right back. But when we come back, we're going to talk about kind of the mastermind behind all of this, the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
We've spoken about him at our TTAC event.
A couple of our speaking events.
We've actually kind of brought him up. He's kind of the puppet master that made all this happen to where we see it now. And he made greed a real commodity in this industry, unfortunately. So we'll be right back after this amazing doctor who is actually out for your health.
Yes. His amazing products. Here we go.
Super
Digest, one of the strongest digestive formulas on the market.
Yeah. And again, This makes sense, right? Dr. Newsom, but now you guys are seeing a theme, right? Dr. Newsom just does the best because that's what he does.
And when it comes to your digestive system, because that's where you get the most of, nutrition, you definitely want it to be amazing.
The top notch.
Yep. And this is like 10 types of active digestive enzymes to enhance your digestion of proteins,
fats, and carbs, as well as pineapple proteolytic enzyme and papaya proteolytic enzyme.
Proteolytic.
It sounds like an era of dinosaurs, doesn't it?
Yeah, proteolytic.
This dinosaur was found in the proteolytic era.
I just like saying proteolytic.
Yeah, that's actually our new word now. We're just going around saying proteolytic.
Hey, it's got pineapple proteolytic.
We never had to learn proteolytic until we met Dr. Newsom, and now we understand what proteolytic is. It's an enzyme that actually helps you break down protein.
And by the way, and carbs, and you need the enzymes to break down the proteins and carbs and the stuff that you need, because that's how you get your nutrition.
Right, and
So
this one has like 10, right?
Yes.
10 of types of active digestive enzymes.
Active, there's the key.
Yeah, they're not sleepy. They're not sleepy enzymes.
No.
They're not just like, well, okay. No, they're active. They're running around.
Active. 10 types of active digestive enzymes.
So you want to go to www.drnewsom.com, look for Super Digest that my lovely model wife assistant is holding.
And by the way, the products we share, it's because we take them.
We're using them.
Because we love what it does for our bodies. It's really good. So you guys definitely, oh my gosh,
digestion is crucial to your health, and that's why Dr. Newsom has created this Super Digest.
If you have issues with your digestive system, you're going to want Super Digest.
That's right.
Yep. Super Digest.
Hello, we are back.
We are back.
Yeah. So, so when Lourdes and I did, we just want to make sure we got our thoughts in order for this episode, because it was important that people understood, just to kind of go back, why we had to go to a different country altogether to receive some treatments, and we're going to kind of get more into that in the episode following this one, the treatments that we did get in this other country. Yes. But for now, we're talking about kind of why we were pushed out of this country and had to go someplace else. And so before we went on break, we said we were going to talk about kind of the puppet master, and it's no surprise. Everybody knows that Rockefeller.
Who doesn't know? At this point, if you don't know,
look it up. At the turn of the century, Rockefeller was, at that time, he had a monopoly of oil. Standard Oil was the big oil company, owned 90% of the oil or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. And
the majority.
No, really, he had the monopoly, and so he and Carnegie, kind of realized. I think it was 1935 they came out with the first synthesized vitamin C, and
because they were, what they did is they started finding that okay, so let's go out to nature. What works with what?
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I did.
But before we go to that, it was. When back then, all doctors and hospitals have actually practiced herbal medicine. They used nature to heal people, and that's how. And it's funny because when they were doing that back then, cancer wasn't on a rise like it is now. Diabetes, kidney failure, all these health issues we see now that is rampant was rare before. Which, in fact. You didn't. I think back then, I don't even think you even knew a kid having cancer. Now it's normal. I mean, they have actual special hospitals.
Yeah, there are some statistics that show that since Food and Drug Administration has been around and these drugs have been more readily available, and we've gotten away from natural and holistic ways of dealing with things.
Now we see heart attacks left and right.
Numbers
and
are definitely on the rise.
Yeah. In fact, now it's if someone gets to 70, that's like whoa.
Yeah, they did good.
Yeah, so. If you look at when all doctors at the time actually practiced real medicine, we're talking nature, herbs and stuff that had the stuff that healed, you didn't see much sicknesses back then or diseases. It was rare. It's like if somebody got something, it was like, whoa, I was serious because it was rare. Now it's like, oh, so-and-so has this. It's not a shocker. You just kind of, oh, that's bad. But that's it. It's normal. And what we see the difference is back then it was about herbal medicines and such.
Well, what they knew from European medicine and the Native Americans.
Yes. That's how it was trained.
Those wacky Native Americans that were out here on this continent and healing each other and they understood certain
plants. But that's where they got the training from. That was where they got the information that actually helped people.
Yeah.
But the moment that got pushed out the way, and Rockefeller stepped in and started putting in his petroleum and all these things into medicine.
Well, it's called petrochemicals, and so Rockefeller was not a dumb man. He was very smart. Obviously, he had the monopoly on the oil.
He owned 90% of it.
Yeah, and so he had a strategy which is actually kind of ingenious.
Yeah. So his thing was, you create a problem.
Yes.
and you have the solution, right? So you create a solution, but before you give that solution, you create the problem, and now you got the solution for that person.
You drum up fear for it. You create the problem. You drum up fear. Oh, this is horrible.
And here's like, oh wait, we can save you. Here you go.
And so with the assistance of Carnegie, they hired a man named Abraham Flexner. The Flexner report is what he came up with.
Right.
And so what Abraham Flexner did is he went around to all the medical universities and all the hospitals, and he basically looked at their medical practices. And a lot of them at this time were still doing holistic.
Yeah, it was all natural and herbal.
Right. Yes. Exactly right. Using nature to heal people. And so he came up with what's called the Flexner report. And basically it vilified holistic medicine.
Yeah. Called them quackery. See, that's where quackery first started, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
He helped him figure out how to get that out of the way so they can monopolize and do what they do for both, not just oil.
And this is why petrochemicals could be patented. And if a drug can be patented, then you can charge as much money as you want for this miracle drug. Yep. And so
you can't do that when it comes to nature.
Right. Herbs, yeah. If I want, I can go out right now and get a dandelion and get my blood pressure in check, that sort of thing. So the thing of it is, my heart disease. I get my heart disease in check. Yeah. It was quite ingenious. He started a smear campaign against holistic medicine.
Yeah.
They said it's risky. Yep. It's not scientifically based. It's scary. Oh,
yes.
And the public was buying.
They were like, oh my gosh.
I mean,
never mind that this entire time they've been staying healthy and doing all the things that these doctors have helped them with.
Yes.
But all it took was fear.
Yes, and fear is such a powerful motivator. So people were taught to be afraid of holistic medicine.
I mean, think about it. Today.
Yep.
They can give you a prescription, right? A prescription drug, because that's what it is. And you take it. And it may hide the receptors because they took something from the plant that helped it, but because it's not in the form that it synchronizes with the plant, right?
No, it's 100% valid, because that's exactly what the scientists at the time were doing with these petrochemicals. They were actually scientists who were looking at the plants.
Yeah.
And they
were wait a minute. This thing helped them with this.
Right. So
how can we take that and synthesize it?
Yep. They knew the plants were the solution. They knew that these nature provided the answers for people to get better. They knew it so well, in fact, that they hired scientists to say, well, wait, what specific chemical in this plant did it? But to your point,
and see, this is the thing. Most people actually know that when you look at medication, it was derived from some type of plant.
Right.
What they don't know is that they take that, and because they can't patent nature, they synthesize. In other words, they mimic.
Right.
Right. So instead of just giving you the thing that already works, they're going to mimic something. And because it's not natural, and the way they're putting all these compounds that are chemically done in a lab affects you. So they go, oh, well, it numbed this thing, so you don't feel it anymore, but it's causing these other problems, but it didn't fix the cause. So now having this. But the way they were doing it in nature is they were taking that thing all in its form, the way it was in a whole food
as
form.
A whole food, yes.
So that it had, everything that was in there works in harmony with each other.
Right.
So when it went into the body understood it, and the body would do its job, right? Because the body is perfectly made.
Now,
not when it comes to something being synthesized.
What always made sense to me is if you think about it, humans have been around forever.
Forever. Thousands of years, yes.
Our cells are so smart. Our body is so smart. It understands its place in nature. It understands nature, period. We know instinctively what we put into our body, and everybody knows what you put into your body will treat your body a certain way. How many friends have we had that have said,
I know this is bad for me.
Oh, I knew it's so bad for me. It gives me a headache, but I still want it.
Yeah. Or I know I end up with a hangover with this, or this really gives me a stomach ache.
Or this constipates me, but I love it,
Yeah. So instinctively, you know that what you put in your body does matter.
Right. And so with this whole petrochemical boom, it was a two-pronged attack. The first attack was to vilify common sense holistic medicine and say it's dangerous. Run away. And the second prong was to find out what specific chemical, and to Lourdes' point, take those petrochemicals, which is derived from oil, by the way, and synthesize it to where it looks like, oh, it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
But that means that they could take it to the patent office. That means they can take it to the Food and Drug Administration. Oh, full circle here, and get their approval so that it could be released to the mass. But what they're always overlooking is your body will never understand synthesize the way it understands true nature.
Right, and that's why you get the side effects. In fact, if you go to nature and you take it from nature, your body just kind of absorbs it and does its thing. You don't have a long list of these horrible bad side effects.
Right
now. You look at the stuff they took out and synthesized and created all these compounds of who knows what, made it into a lab, made their money, gave it to you, you took it, and then when you tell the doctor, like, I feel this and that, I mean, there's a reason why there's a list of side effects, right?
Yeah, look at the news. Watch the news. On the news, you'll go to commercial breaks, and there's pharmaceutical medicines inside these, and so they're sponsoring the news,
right?
Which is kind of the control that they have now.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the end, and we all know it. In fact, I've seen comedians make fun of this.
Yep.
You know, it may cause this, may cause that, and there's like,
it's like, here, we got rid of that pimple on your nose, but now you have a heart problem, or now you have a leaky, anal leakage.
Yeah, no, we heard anal leakage once.
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
We heard Hodgkin's lymphoma
many times.
Certain types of cancers could be certain types of cancers could manifest up to and including Hodgkin's lymphoma. You're like,
right?
Wait, what?
So you fix this one minor thing to get this major thing,
right?
And it's like, okay, never mind that even when they do the studies, they don't really give you the full numbers of how many people have gotten those things.
No, in fact, some FDA employees, again, who are in trouble, have confessed that the pharmaceutical companies will falsify studies to make sure that the drug.
Yeah, so that it doesn't look so bad. So, like, let's say 1 million died. Well, you don't want to say 1 million. So say I had affected about 10 people.
Sometimes, sometimes they allow the medicine to go through. And again, look it up. Don't trust us. Look it up.
Yeah,
they'll allow the results to go through by proxy, and they'll say, listen, we're pretty sure it's not going to cause any problems, so let's just go ahead and get it out there.
Yeah.
And then they say, but we promise you we will continue to monitor the situation.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the monitoring is horrible because it's only 1%.
I mean, how earnestly are they monitoring it?
Well, here's another thing we actually learned as well, and I'm just going to say it. When, let's say, I'm in a study, and
you're in a study,
I'm in a study for this new drug, and it gave me a really bad adverse reaction. Well, they can't keep me on that study because I just had a really bad adverse reaction. So they take me out because they're not going to keep messing me up. It just messed me up, right?
Yeah, right.
I have a heart attack, or
get her out.
Whatever the severity was, it was so severe they took me out of the study.
Yep.
Let's say it affected me within a few days. Out I go. So they continue the study with everybody else, and they're removing as things happen because they can't stay in the study. They're not doing well. Now, I can't report, now they took me out of the study, all the rest of the stuff that's starting to happen to me because I'm no longer in the study.
It's true.
So the numbers are bad because even when you think about it, in the study, they also give placebos. So most of the people that are still in there are the placebo people, while the other ones, because they're not supposed to know which one is what, are the ones that got taken out. And because they got taken out, they're not allowed to report or call and say, hey, I know that this is what happened to me, but now this has happened to me, or now I have this, cancer, whatever it is.
And you're just describing one method that they can use to falsify their studies, and they know this, and it is a well-known practice. But we do have to take a break.
Yes, we do.
So we will come right back. And then we'll kind of wrap it up.
We'll try to wrap it up. Yeah,
we'll
there's so much.
Because there's a lot to talk about actually, but we're going to try and condense it so that we're bite sizing it to you. Yeah. So we'll be right back after this break with our good Dr. Newsom, and you'll see his products, and he's the guy, I'm telling you. Yes. So we'll be right back. Dr. Newsom's Inflamagon.
It's powerful anti-inflammatory botanical formula.
So this bad boy's got curcumin, and he gets that curcumin from organic turmeric root.
Yes, which is important. We want organic. And freeze-dried frankincense oil.
Freeze-dried frankincense oil is boswellic acid, actually. Boswellic acid.
I love these words.
I know. Our vocabulary has been so expanded since we started working with Dr. Newsom.
Yes.
And that's boswellic acid is important because it's one of the things that help you. It actually helps with inflammation, but it also is an inhibitor for tumors.
Yeah.
So,
So why not prevent or get rid of if you have one of those things or you don't know you have it yet?
yeah, right. And why just jump ahead of it? Because this formula is bound to Dr. Newsom's unique fulvic acid and humic acid.
Which, by the way, those two minerals that you really do need if you want to stay healthy. And it gives maximum absorption and anti-inflammatory action. People.
You're likely dealing with inflammation.
Yes, because most people don't realize that if you end up with certain pains and aches, that's inflammation. Inflammation causes aches and pains to let you know there's an issue.
And prolonged inflammation is really what causes these chronic illnesses, to and including cancer. So
we take this as well, and it's amazing. In fact, real quick tidbit, even as a thin person, I always had this little pouch, but since I've been taking this, I'm like, I must have had inflammation because that little pouch is gone.
Goodbye pouch, no more punch. So you want to go to www.drnewsom.com, get that anti-inflammatory formula of his in Inflamagon. I love the name Inflamagon.
Like it's gone.
Inflamagon.
Inflam is gone.
We love it.
We do.
I'll let that one slide. We love it. We know that you love it too because look, inflammation is something that you really want to work out of your system right now.
Yeah, like if you want to avoid health issues, when you have too much inflammation just creates, and especially if it's consistently going on,
right.
It causes diseases, it causes illnesses. Who wants to be sick?
And you can trust Inflamagon because it comes from Dr. Newsom, and
we trust it.
We trust it, and we love it.
And we take this sucker daily.
Love it.
We like to prevent.
We're back. So we got off track a little bit. Sorry about that.
It really is easy to get off track because you start talking about one thing and another thing pops up, and I think because we're looking at so much information that
there's just
way too much.
There's actually a lot to unpack with this, and so we're trying to keep a cohesive thought process. So let's get back on track with the Flexner report and what happened with that. So on the one hand, they were basically vilifying holistic medicine. Some doctors went to jail.
Some got arrested. Now, this is something that they've practiced forever.
Yeah. Like I said,
before Big Pharma stepped into the medical system.
Before petrochemicals were...
any of them were in the system, nature and herbal medicine, all that, that's what they were using. That's what was helping them. That was the proven thing because they did it over and over and over again, getting the same results. So they knew what worked.
Right. So what Rockefeller, again, he was a genius. He can't take it away from him. I mean, he was a diabolical man, but he was a genius.
Yeah.
The other part that he did was that he and Carnegie set up these different foundations, including the American Cancer Society.
Yes. Well, you think of that as like, right, so the American Cancer Society is there to give you all this information and on that they're told through, Big Pharma, blah, blah, blah. But also they're only there until they find a cure. Once the cure is done, there's no reason to keep sending all those billions of dollars into them. And, actually it's like $1 trillion fortune of these combinations of these companies. But once the cure is there, they're no longer existing.
Mm-hmm.
You can look that up actually on there. So it behooves them that you just have to keep fighting, keep donating. Let's keep searching because the moment they find it, they don't exist and they want to keep existing.
So they set up all these different foundations. They closed about half the medical universities, that were in existence at the time, closed them down through the smear campaigns to really make the ones that they didn't close down were the ones that kind of signed on the dotted line and said, yes, we'll take your money.
Yeah, we'll take that $1 million
to teach your curriculum.
Yeah.
But again, clever, these guys, because the other part that they did is they said, yes, we're going to give you all this money to assist you in making these colleges great medical institutions.
But
we need somebody on the board.
Yeah.
To kind of help guide you with what you should be teaching. So if you think about the medical industry as it exists now,
they've actually removed everything that used to be in the medical.
Doctors can't speak to medical doctors that you would go to in a hospital.
Conventional medicine doctors, yes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is so weird
allopathic.
Because originally natural medicine doctors were the conventional medicine doctors.
Yes.
And then they turned it around and switched the names and just
all
by design.
All by design. So they're not even allowed to say, even if they learned for example, the heart healthy benefits of dandelions and making dandelion tea, even if they're made aware of it, they have to adhere to certain rules to maintain their license.
Yeah, they're not actually allowed, unless they're a holistic doctor or a naturopath doctor or a functional medicine doctor. If they want to get the big bucks from big pharma, they have to adhere to the rules.
Well,
and that's,
to your point, they actually get bonuses for prescribing certain medicines.
So anytime they prescribe medicine, when you're getting that prescription, they got a bonus for that, just so you know.
Right.
And of course it's all in line. So I get a prescription, I go and I fill it out. It just, they know, okay, boom, they got, and so gave them the prescription.
And what's nice is that fact that we're talking about right now, that they do get a little bonus.
Yeah.
We know a pharmaceutical rep personally, so that's why we know that exists, and that's part of their thing. They're kind of like baby lobbyists. They're not going to the big companies. They're just kind of going around, hey, I'm a pharmaceutical rep. Oh, you really need to try this, you know. And if you do,
and so that's why they always give them these, you know, here goes some trials, push this on that person, and then they get them hooked.
Yeah.
That's the whole,
And so I'm not here to say that doctors are evil, because we don't think that that's so. I'm here to tell you, maybe.
I mean, but that's in general, in life, no matter what.
I'm here to tell you,
you're going to get some.
You take anybody, and you put them through the rigors of what it takes to become a medical doctor. And we're talking decade of study, so many years as resident, like, right, you are sure you know what you're talking about.
But I got to tell you, what no one pays attention to is they don't go back to see, how did doctors handle these things before these prescription drugs?
Right.
What was the success rate then?
No,
they don't do that. And you know what? They could if they chose to.
Yeah.
Because the ones that have chosen to stop being conventional medicine.
Well,
doctors,
it's a pill for every ill now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just looking at, you know, like, look, medicine has its place. I should say all natural medicine has its place, but medicine and conventional medicine, right, is what I'm talking about. They do have their place, but it shouldn't be something you take for the rest of your life that's going to cause all these other symptoms and breaking down your body. Your body needs nourishment. That doesn't nourish your body. It hides the receptors to let you know that there's something going on. It never addresses the cause. So you need to find, while you're taking that, what's the root cause? What do I need to do personally to fix that root cause, whether it's detoxing metals that's in the body, you know, like figuring things out. And when you do start doing those things, in fact, that's the reason why we have a Dr. Newsom, right? Those doctors go to that degree of help where they find out what's going on. And let's get these things out and let's put these things in so that your body then goes, okay, now I have the tools to heal.
Right.
So remember, it's not that that's healing it. It's the tools that makes your body then do its job.
Right. And so what's happening now is that, I mean, like you said at the very beginning of the episode, please keep these classes on. Follow the money. I mean, look, the medical industry right now is billions of dollars. Yeah. Trillions, maybe.
Oh, I think it's trillions.
Especially if you factor in pharmaceutical drugstores, if you factor in pharmaceutical companies, if you factor in hospitals. Hospitals are designed to make money. I mean, they're private ventures. And so
they're probably the biggest, and I think they are the biggest money-making machine around the world, period.
Yeah, and this all started back in the early 1900s, turn of the 20th century, from one guy who was just like, you know what, I'm a billionaire now, but I could be a multi-billionaire if I also take over the medical industry. And it's a whole thing where at some point in time it stopped. We started doing like a pay for health type of a thing. Yeah. We're not gonna have enough time to unpack that. That happened right around Nixon's era, but we're going to, you know, in insurance companies, never mind.
Yeah, it's anyway, this is the point. The point is to educate yourself.
Yeah.
To go, okay, I have this problem. I'm taking this drug until I fix this problem. It's not, I'm taking this drug because I have this symptom that they told me I had. Because that's like, again, where we've learned that's just a check off the box on how many things we can check off so that we get a paycheck.
Well, the analogy that we use when we give live events or we give live discussions is the David and Goliath analogy.
Yeah.
You are David in the David and Goliath analogy.
Yep.
You need to arm yourself with the river stones and the slingshot. And by doing that is knowledge. and knowledge will give you that to be able to defeat Goliath. And Goliath is the medical industry at large, which makes up all these different branches, but they're all a cohesive unit.
Well, this is the thing. It's like when you educate yourself, and I don't mean this education. The doctor told me.
That's not educating yourself.
It's like me having a business, and this client, patient, whatever comes in, and I'm only going to make money if I get you to do this thing. Now, it probably won't help you, but I'm going to tell you it is, and you have no clue if it is, and you just did it anyway. Mm-hmm. And then you're feeling all these other problems, then you come back and you take something else for those problems. But just like when you go to a bad auto, a mechanic.
Sure.
Right? A good mechanic fixes the problem. A bad mechanic gives you something that makes the problem worse, and then you have to keep going back. And before you know, you're spending all this money on getting this car fixed.
It's like, hey, Mr. Mechanic, I got this strange rattle that's happening inside of my engine. And so he goes, well, pour this down there. And does the rattling stop? That subsides a little bit. It takes care of it, but it never took care of what was actually causing
and then what happens is, because it didn't fix it, then it got worse, and now this broke and that broke.
Yeah, you wouldn't go back to that mechanic.
Yeah, but most people keep going back to that mechanic.
That mechanic.
We're going to get into some juice, and it's not a lot of juice because it gets too long, and we just really give you some information.
It's called the Food and Drug Administration, folks.
So the food.
And so the food. Oh, actually, dang it. We didn't wrap up that one thought. Okay, so real quick, remember that gentleman that was the that was the head of the chemistry bureau for the USDA was ever so concerned. Let me find his name again. Harvey, I think. Harvey Wiley. Remember, he was concerned about the state of things as far as what was going on, which is what pushed the whole, Clean Food and Drug Act.
Yeah.
But remember, we also said how clever that Rockefeller fella is, because he said, create a problem, create fear around the problem, and then offer a solution.
Right.
So, I don't know, it makes you question, was he really concerned? I mean, I imagine there was some practices that were bad.
But who created those bad practices?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
You just blew my mind.
It's just like, think about it. If you have this idea and you take this person, you bring them on board, and they go, I got a thing. And then they go, oh, look at these horrible things that are happening that they themselves already created. Just an idea, right? Just an idea.
This is all theory. We're not
right. Just a theory. Create the problem, you make that mess, and then you say, look, this was bad, this stuff was in there, and then you go, oh, this was, and then go, we need to create,
especially if the fear-based problem is common sense, right?
Yep.
So I'm sorry, I bring up the USDA guy because we're kind of going to circle back to food real quick. And I just want to discuss that there are, and again, look it up, there are foods that are not allowed in other countries in the world
at all, that we do allow here.
That here in the United States of America,
like the food colorings.
Yeah, food dyes that have been
linked to autism, ADHD,
learning
cancer,
disabilities in children. Yeah, food dyes, guys.
Yeah.
Your food is not the right shade of red.
Well, think about this away. Right now, how many lawsuits there are on Similac, like all these baby,
you're right.
All these baby foods, right? All these baby milks. They come in cans,
right?
That it's disturbing their stomachs, and they're having,
you're right. Dairy-based baby food formula that's
it's not even dairy-based. It's just that the stuff that they put in there is actually causing some severe issues to their intestinal area.
Right? Come on.
Which, interestingly enough, your intestinal area is where the majority of your immune system is, which can cause other health issues on that baby itself.
Now, for every study that you find, you can find another study that refutes that one altogether and says it's not true.
It just whoever's writing that,
Right.
But I like to pay attention to people's effects. The fact that you can sue somebody means you have someone physically having the harm
on me.
So a baby, you have so someone can say, oh, but if someone's showing this and then you're getting a lawsuit and you're making money, something's there.
Well, the other thing too to point out about that is that if you pay attention to these other countries, it's not like they love their citizens any less or more.
I know.
That, and they've deemed them unnecessary. So there's something there.
Yep.
We'll put
even with the whitening of bread.
Right. So there's a chemical that they can put in bread to make it appear more white.
Yep. And other countries will not accept it because it is a proven carcinogenic that causes, for those who don't understand what that is, causes cancer. Proven.
Cereals here in the U.S. Contain BHT, which is largely suspected to be a carcinogenic. I didn't see anywhere it said it was proven, but largely suspected to be a carcinogenic to cause cancer.
Yep.
And so why take the chance? FDA, why chance it? I mean,
well, why
if it's banned in Europe, if it's banned in Japan, because of the potential link between the two, why aren't we holding ourselves to that same standard? Is my question.
How about the ones that we do know are
right?
Why is it there? Why are we using it? Why are we allowing it?
Right, 100%. And so this is kind of a call to action. Everybody, you want to start knocking on the doors of these alphabet soups, and let them know that you are concerned and that you don't want this anymore. And that's the way we can all make an effect on this and try and change things. So like I said, I didn't want to go too crazy. We could talk for another hour about what we learned while investigating a little bit deeper. This was why we had to go to Mexico for Lourdes receiver treatments, because she did treatments down there that were not approved by the FDA, or doctors up here in the States couldn't administer them without risk of losing their license or going to jail.
Yeah. In fact, I had a doctor, and I won't mention his name. He's a great doctor. And he would say, you should try to get this. You can't do it here. But I know because, and I forget what country, his friend did it for his mother who had brain cancer and
I'm telling you.
Some of them know, they just can't do it because they're not allowed.
Right. So their hands are tied.
Yeah.
So next week, when you tune into the Lourdes and Chris show, which is every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will actually break down what Lourdes did do in Mexico and the treatments and why they were so effective with her. We might talk a little bit more about this topic this week, but we just, in a really big way, we just wanted to kind of fill a gap that we tell with people that we just, the reason why we couldn't do certain things here is because of this. It's a bigger tell than what we tell people.
So that being said, make sure that they follow us.
Oh yeah, you could totally follow us. We're on all the social media. We're on Instagrams.
We're on Instagrams. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube,
and we're on TikTok.
We are on TikTok,
and
we're also on Twitter. But we're we're everywhere.
Yeah.
So
and you can go to our website, which is the Lourdes and Chris Show.
I almost insist you go to the website, the Lourdes and Chris Show.
And subscribe to all of them, and I say like once a month or so, we do send an email of things that we're up to, events that we're going to be speaking at.
Well, expect to see one soon, because we're actually asking for people to share their stories about how they heal themselves naturally, so we can start another segment on the show about people healing themselves naturally.
Exactly.
It's very inspirational. So sign up for that newsletter. If you already haven't signed up for the drnewsom.com, you really need to. It's a fantastic resource to everybody.
Yeah, we get great email. I mean, I even subscribe. I love his emails. He's got amazing, delicious looking recipes, by the way, and healthy recipes. And of course, I've gotten where you got percentages off on his amazing products that we use all of, by the way, because they're really good.
The thing that you have to know is that anybody who values their health and knows that their health is their best wealth really needs to go to drnewsom.com and subscribe, because that's a phenomenal resource.
In general, if you're really tired of being sick, if you really do want to feel healthy, if you do want to see like, hey, I wonder if it would help me. It's just time to step outside of repeating the same thing you've been doing for years, and you're not like at 100%. If you're not feeling youthful and healthy constantly, then it's time to just kind of step away. If you have to take a pill just to try to survive, it's not something that's building your body up, but it's breaking your body down. You really do need to just go, okay, enough. Let me try something new.
Right. So catch us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll see you in about a week, because that's what we do. And we love you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you. Like, follow, and share. Tell your friends. You're helping us immensely when you do that. Just that right there. So we love you. We'll see you in about a week, and next week, you already know, we're going to be talking about what we did in Mexico. So we'll see you then.